Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the lower bracket quarterfinals here in Asia on PC for the Marvel Rivals Championship Season 1. We're in the lower bracket, which means whoever loses here will be eliminated and be forced to fight their way through Season 2, which is approaching at a rapid pace. But as we get warmed up and get ready to head on in, we have XOXO01 on the left and Influenza G on the right. These are our two lower bracket quarter finalist teams. Our next lower bracket quarter final will be taking place tomorrow, and we will of course be covering that as well. Of course, the winning teams in the lower bracket quarterfinals will go on to the lower bracket semi-finals. Then we'll be covering the upper bracket final, then the lower bracket final, then the grand final. That is the order that this will take place in. The Thing, Venom, and Loki and Luna Snow will be taken out here, meaning we continue to see the rise of Rocket Raccoon. Sneaking into so many of the games at the moment, Namor and Magic making their way in. We've been seeing Spurs, which is the attempt at a Google Translate name I did for this Wolverine player. I tried my best, but we've seen them play a lot of Magic recently, so not too surprising to see that being played. And Adam Warlock sneaks through the ban phase immediately. We're going to see XOXO going with Adam, Mantis, Invisible Woman, the classic combo. Influenza G, though, they choose to move away from that, and they are going for a Invisible Woman and a Rocket composition to try and empower this Winter Soldier. With 6 bringing out the Hela here. Titty Valkyrie. Looking at the Magic here, I don't think this will make it out of spawn, because then they would be in a 1-3-2 situation, which is about as bad as a composition could be. Furikake on the Jeff to give the team a speed boost out of base, and then we'll likely, I'd say, swap onto the Rocket again to boost back to their team to keep empowering Rib on that Winter Soldier. Let's introduce our players on the left-hand side. It is going to be XOXO01 with Silence playing Magneto, Prime SQ playing the Star-Lord, Behemoth 202 playing Invisible Woman. The name that I have attempted to translate, they say it's Spurs, sorry if it's not. They are playing the Mantis. Rester is playing Adam Warlock, and Zetha will be bringing in the Doctor Strange. And on the right-hand side, in the red trunks, currently sleeping, it is Skittles OCE for Influenza G. Furikake is on the Rocket. Skittles OCE is playing that Invisible Woman. Flicky Minaj is on the Incredible Hulk, popping back into Bruce Banner. Titty Valkyrie barely standing on Doctor Strange. Rib is on the Winter Soldier. And 6 is playing their signature Hela. Onto the point, trying to keep the pressure on. Prime, Galactic Legend, right off the bat here, takes out 6. Rib goes down as well, and with all the DPS taken out, Influenza G absolutely get melted. Titty Valkyrie was the first to fall. They come back at the BRB, but they're going to be melted down and picked off again. That is essentially a full team wipe here, as XOXO01 will claim the point. Absolutely devastating round there. Trying to set themselves up onto the point. Rez sieging down the line with that Cosmic Cluster. Get a little bit of burst damage in. Keep Influenza G zoned out as XO hold the point and are up to 50% here. Rib almost having their ult. Same with 6. Headshots are landing. Panic Hook. They're going to step through the door here. Nearly getting themselves isolated. Find themselves trapped with the Meteor M. Gets the Metallic Bulwark. And Meteor M is forced to be sent down line. As Rib will drop a little bit of pressure onto Silence. Stays up, takes a little bit of damage, but is holding the line for the moment. Zetha bringing out with that Doctor Strange. Has the ability to try and dive onto that backline with the Eye of Agamotto. As does Titty Valkyrie. We're looking for the right angle. Here comes the Seer to try and burst on through as Influenza G are trying to control onto the point. Karmic Revival comes on out. Kraken Impact with Aya Vagamoto to set up. Zetha falls, and it's going to be a full combo here. Down goes Star-Lord. Rib holding the line, and they get melted. Silence the last one to fall. And Influenza G, in overtime, will claim the points back. XOXO01 on 99% in round 1 of game 1 in this best of 5. But Influenza G are on the board. Zetha, though, they still have that Aya Vagamoto. They got stunned out before they could use it. Thanks to the Aya Vagamoto from Titty Valkyrie. So they have an engaged tool, Galactic Legend, as a follow-up. And there's only Invisible Boundary available for Influenza G. Here comes the Galactic Legend. Meteor M to absorb some of that damage from Flicky Minaj. Finds no one for the elimination. Goddess of Death to try and match it. Aya Vagamoto, they're going to try and get the focus onto it. But in the meantime, Six is sieging down here with the Goddess of Death, doing quite a lot of damage. And Influenza G are driving back EXO once again. And Influenza G, it took them a little bit to get going, but they locked in that time, shutting down. They got Aya Vagamoto, they got Galactic Legend in, and they ate it all. Invisible Boundary plus Meteor M, allowing them to tag on through. 54% for Influenza G, holding the line. Titty taking quite a lot of damage, forced to back up. Aggressive moves, moving in with the Soul Rejuvenation, trying to make their way onto the point as EXO pressures on in. Prime gets soul bonded so they can try and push it a little bit further with Flicky Minaj already getting taken down. BRB brought back Rib, but Rib is taken down again. Titty Valkyrie is wiped here by the Blaster Mirage. Six is on the flank, dodges the Meteor M, but gets sniped by Prime. And with overtime ticking down, EXO reclaim and claim point number 1. We are heading to Super Soldier Factory for round number 2. EXO taking a lead over Influenza G. Let's talk about the journey these teams took to get here. XOXO01. They started off in the upper bracket quarterfinals versus Gapped, taking a 3-0 before being knocked down to the lower bracket by Uprise, aka New Moon, sending them down to the lower bracket where they find themselves now. Influenza G, they were sent down to the lower bracket also by New Moon in a 3-0 in the quarterfinals, 1 round earlier than XO. Meaning Influenza G had to fight a couple more games here. They took out Old Man in a 3-0 and then Kanga Esports in a 3-1 to find themselves in this match. This means that EXO are the favourites, having 1 round advantage. Zetha going to be portaling out. Is Titty Valkyrie matching? No, Titty Valkyrie going to be walking in with the rest of Influenza G. Rest of Cosmic Clusters sieging in from above. Avatar livestream. Little bit of extra healing. Just chaining them together for the moment. Titty Valkyrie gets absolutely popped there by Silence, but the BRB brings them back right away here. Prime, a little bit of pressure on the flank, and they have got a great concave setup. Influenza G, a completely closed in. Flicky Minaj is going to take out Spurs. Galactic Legend with the Metallic Bulwark, dodging the Meteor M here. Rib holding out, waiting for their chance for a Kraken Impact, as we're not going to find any more pickups. Rez taken down, but will return with the Cocoon. Prime, the Galactic Legend has expired. We're pushing forward, but you can see the sustain coming out from that extra healing and that damage reduction from Adam Warlock with the Soul Bond. Uses Kraken Impact, meaning they dodge away from the Aya Vagamoto, which seems to have been blocked entirely. Rib gets another pickup onto Prime, but they return immediately thanks to Rez with that Karmic Revival, bringing back the team. But again, Influenza G look like they're finally going to be able to claim the point here, but there's still a little bit of a fight dueling with Rib here. Rez finally will be taken out, and we will see Influenza G claim back control. 38 for XO, and we're just getting on the board for Influenza G. Silence going to be the one setting up a little bit of the zoning potential. They're going in for a right-hand flank. A lot of strafing coming in here. Team's going to be topped up. Zetha healed back to full. Ultimates, nothing yet available, but a couple just around the corner for XO. Influenza G, they have Goddess of Death and Sia. With everything else pretty close to being charged, except for Aya Wagamoto, down to the low ground, pushing in quite aggressively right off the bat. Here comes the Sia Meteor M to absorb some of that damage to give them the protection that they need. Silence playing quite far forward. Galactic Legend to try and capitalize. Rib goes down. Behemoth is out the fight, meaning they've lost one of their healers. That's going to be an invisible boundary. Takes out 6 with the flick there. They're trying to hold the line. 48% Influenza G. They're ticking further and further towards a win here. Zetha is down, but will come back, forced to respawn at base, though. Rib with the Kraken impacts is wiping them off the board once again. And Influenza G are holding back XO this time. But how long can they keep this up? Last time XO, they timed their ultimate, so they're about to have a lot of stuff off cooldown. Invisible boundary, the only one that will be very far out. 3% for Behemoth, Silence on 35, Prime on 43, everything else just around the corner. Influenza G though, they've already got still that Goddess of Death, they've got the Meteor M, and they almost have Aya Wagamoto. Meteor M coming in from Flicky Minaj to try and hold the line. Almost takes out Mantis, but Mantis is going to tank on through as Spurs holds the line. Goddess of Death in the air to try and burn them, but they get wiped off the board there. Aya Wagamoto from Zetha to try and zone out the reinforcements, but finds no stuns. Sia going to be dropped. Influenza G trying to hold the line. His overtime is being dropped here as XO trying to capitalize, trying to push on in. Karmic Revival is at the ready, but they're being patient with the Galactic Legend. Almost there. Aya Wagamoto from Valkyrie, but Silence is blocking it. They're holding on the overtime for the moment. Numbers currently in favor of XO as they take out Rib. Invisible boundary from both sides. Neither team can make an angle. Sorry, it's just going to be from Skittles as Behemoth is about to have theirs, and that might be the decider as they take it back, forcing Influenza off the point. 99 to 43. Influenza G are cleaned out here. XOXO01 able to reclaim the point here. They've got to now hold it for another 45%. Silence piling on the pressure. Magneto has been the key tank for this season, alongside Groot and Doctor Strange. Pulled on in, self-shield, Meteor M to try and absorb point blank onto Rib, and it's an absolute massacre. Silence wipes them off the board. Now Teddy Valkyrie does have Portal. Forced to wrap around and take cover as they're starting to be pressured in. If they get interrupted by one knockback from Silence, yes they are. Bionic Hook, Portal does go out. They landed it in time, meaning they can try and touch the point and force it overtime. The battle is taken to the objective here. Influenza G giving everything they can. Kraken impact. Karmic Revival to bring back 2. They can't get onto Spurs. Spurs is completely zoned out. Does finally reach them with the area, but the Kraken impacts are still coming. Rib just won't stop. If they can find the elimination here, then they can push this through. But the Soul Bond is making them too tanky. And Influenza G are able to claim a point. Despite the revives, too many Kraken impacts, too many resets, and we will see the score even up in this game number 1. One to one in game 1 of this best of 5. Who is going to achieve the lead? The last second portal, the team protecting Teddy Valkyrie just enough for them to be able to get that portal out and allow the team to make their way in. So close between these two teams right now. Influenza G, they have 3 Australian players, 3 Singaporean players, a Bangladeshi player, and their coach, I believe, is from India. Whereas XOXO, every single one of them is from Thailand. A little bit of national pride maybe coming in there, but Influenza G, they've been playing exceptionally well to bring this back as XO. played a solid game number 1, reclaiming it here. These two teams seemingly quite evenly matched. 6, abandoning the Hela, has brought out Hawkeye. It's already charged ult-wise. Galactic Legend going to be coming in from Prime right off the bat here into the backline, but Invisible Boundary is going to shut that down. But ult for ult could be worse. Hunter's Sight for 6, trying to burst through anyone, not finding a lot of targets, in fact taking a lot of damage themselves, gets Ayamoto'd and wiped off the board here. And XOXO cleaning out the remaining members of Influenza G. Point is claimed, and XO dominate that first fight. Let's look at the ultimate economy here. Silence, 87% on that Meteor M. Same for Spurs with that Soul Rejuvenation. 61% for that Karmic Revival. Nothing else is available, and only Prime is above 50%. Influenza G. Sia going to be dropped right off the bat here. Flicky Minaj, 79% on Meteor M. Titty Valkyrie, Ayamoto being dropped down. Rib almost has that Kraken impact as Meteor M from Silence takes out 6 on the backline. Titty Valkyrie falls, and XO are once again dominating the team fight. Rez takes out Rib as they push on in. So many shots coming in with those Cosmic Clusters for the burst damage. Huge damage! You saw just how quickly they got melted there by Rez. And we're up to 57% already for XOXO01. Dominant setup here. Titty Valkyrie, portal at the ready, but they want to save it. Trying to make their way in. Getting zoned out pretty hard here. Here comes Spurs with the Soul Rejuvenation, forcing out the Meteor M to try and turn it, but Soulbond tanks on through it. And XO are giving it everything they can to keep Influenza G as far back as possible. Keep them off the point, but already 83, 84, 85. Galactic Legend comes out, timed with the Sia. A lot of damage coming in. They get the Guardian Barriers coming in, get picked off and revived at the Karmic Revival. Here's the Invisible Boundary for Behemoth, timed out to give that extra protection as Skittles expires. 6 has returned to the Hela. Here comes the Kraken impact, but melted completely here. Brought back at the BRB to try and keep this fight going. Ayamoto finds no targets, but Skittles will fall. Rib is able to get Prime as 6 takes to the sky with only 1 hit point left, 12 in total. They're healed up, but they're still so low, taken down here as Prime is melting them here. Blaster Mirage, single targets, taking out Magneto. And this is going to be a fight taken by XO. There's no one to hold long enough for the portal, as XO will take game number 1. Close game. And it's just the first game in this series, but XO locking in on that final point. Prime gets a well-deserved MVP. XO take the lead. Influenza G not out yet. Plenty of opportunity for them to try and make a comeback here. Let's have a look at the statistics. You can see in terms of eliminations, it's pretty close. Let's start breaking this down. Most eliminations, 36 for Prime, with 14 of those being final hits, but the most final hits comes in for Rib, and a lot of that's going to be that Kraken impact at the end of round number 2 in game 1. Least amount of times getting eliminated for Rikake, playing that rocket, playing a little far back, playing very mobile, just making sure that they don't get picked off here. Most damage done is going to be Prime still. 26k, 3k more than Rib, and 5k more than 6. Solid damage, by the way, from all of the strategists on the side of XO. Usually you'd see Mantis getting pretty high damage output here. You'd expect it from Adam Warlock, but in fact, we're going to see Invisible Woman out-damaging the Mantis here. Getting 10k, Mantis only getting 9k. 7 final hits for the Adam Warlock, though, not too surprising. This is why we're seeing Adam banned out so often. While the healing is a little bit subpar, the protection that Soulbond offers, the huge revive, the team-ups is good. Team-ups are good, and of course, the huge damage. Quantum Magic and Cosmic Cluster are huge in terms of damage output, especially at long range and close range. You can burst someone down pretty far. Top damage blocked, 54k for Tinny Valkyrie. Trying to hold for their team as best as they could, getting almost 9k more than Zetha. And finally, top healing, 39k for Furikake, showing just how valuable this rocket can be if played correctly. While the ultimate, little bit less value. We'll see how much that changes in Season 1 as it now heals. Sorry, in Season 2. It will now heal when we go into Season 2, the Hellfire Gala. But for now, still able to heal quite effectively. That is the end of game number 1, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you are enjoying. If you are, please consider dropping a subscription and liking the video. We are currently less than 100 subs away from 5k subs, at which point I will be starting to stream games, not just the MRC games. I'll try and get on other tournaments as well if I can. I'll try and jump on Twitch Rivals, because you're allowed to co-stream that stuff. Just anything I can get involved with, just try and bring some stuff out. I'm not going to burn myself out. I've made that mistake before. But I will at least be doing some streams. They might be like 2-hour streams. They might be me doing like 1 or 2 casts like I do my normal stuff. It might be a situation of I stream them and then I upload, stream me recording the games. Sometimes I'm recording stuff that doesn't make it to YouTube. We will see. And of course, I will be doing my reward, I said, if I can get to 5k subs, of getting myself some bronze replays that I will be covering for you all. So make sure you follow the Twitch and the YouTube, as I'll be trying to dual stream. We'll see how well that works. If not, we'll be going to Twitch because I'm a partner there, and that way I can diversify my income. For now, though, ladies and gentlemen, thank you all very much for watching. Let's get ourselves set up. Like, comment, subscribe as well. Help me with the algorithm. It's really appreciated. And big shout out to our members here. Pokidoki, Joshua. It's not Joshua. Roshua and John. Got them mixed up there. They are helping keep this channel alive. Allow me to keep making this content for all of you. Let's get set up for game number 2 in this best of 5. You in a grave 6 feet like Kenny. And we are back for map number 2. We are heading to Midtown. XOXO01 with the 1-game lead. And Influenza G starting off on attack with the first ban. They are going to remove Magneto. Silence being a little too tough to deal with. Immediate counterban from XO, removing the Thing. Interesting. The Thing, great at siege breaking. Great combined with Magneto, in fact. So, interesting to see that taken away here. Wolverine put onto the board here with Magneto gone and the Thing gone. Wolverine suddenly becomes very powerful as no one's really there to stop them just scooping up tanks. The Hulk can block it, Strange can block it a little bit, but it's still going to be quite hard to deal with it. Namor to try and deal with that. If Wolverine's going to have to come in close, then Namor will just try and melt them. We may see XO, if they don't want to play it themselves, ban out Luna to try and nerf that here. As Influenza G take away Venom. They don't want to play against Double Dive here. And there goes the Luna. As predicted, try and weaken out that Namor, meaning XO are forcing their own strategy here. Punisher as the second damage dealer here. Wolverine, and then the front line being, Prime looking to maybe consider a swap off here. Front line being Doctor Strange and Groot for XO on the defense here. With Rez bringing out the Loki here. And we're getting a little bit of adjustment. Looks like they might try to run the Rocket first with the Punisher by the looks of it, instead of a Winter Soldier and instead of a Wolverine. I guess I can swap to the Wolverine a little bit later. Influenza G are playing a lot of stuff that I don't think is making it out of spawn. While we have seen a little bit of Penny Parker this season, much more than last season, I very much doubt that we'll see it on attack here. There we go. That's more like it. Silence on the Groot here instead of the Magneto. To try and zone out a big siege potential. They're going for a 2-1-3. So a lot of pressure is now on Prime to try and melt through. They're probably suspecting that we will be seeing a Groot play from Influenza G. And we are seeing Cap make it out of base. And this is actually really convenient because this is actually really good into Punisher. You can shut down a turret just by deflecting all the shots into it, which will melt it. The shield will outlast a full Punisher turret if you come in fully shielded. Prime sending shots up to the high ground. Guardian shield. As much protection as possible being sent onto this Punisher so they can melt through those shields. Good pull by the Invisible Woman. Behemoth sending them down to the low ground. In comes the Captain America, melted by Prime right now. Ammo Invention helping them do the damage. Nicki Minaj sticking with this. Turret set up, a little bit of damage, poke in. Poke out, not going to commit to a hyper engage here. A little bit of damage, shield up, you can deflect it, a little bit of damage, and that will allow him to retreat, burns a little bit. Rib on the Winter Soldier, trying to burn on through, no crack and impact here. As Rez, with those regeneration domains, allowing the team to tank on through and push back Nicki Minaj. Prime with the ammo invention. You can hear the attack speed boost that they get. Huge damage output. Six has once again moved onto the Hela and is trying to flank, trying to land any final hits here. Finds Rez. Here comes the final judgment for Prime. Invisible boundary. They can't see the enemies. Landing almost nothing. Aya Magamoto comes out. Prime Absorb is not going to be hit by it and would have been immune anyway. Locked down by the Soul Siphon, but it's still trying to maximize damage output to try and break through this front line. Here comes Cap into the back line. Smoke bomb not yet available. That is a beautiful straggling prison, and Flicky is melted here. The Assemble, not enough sustain. Skittles is picked off, and XO are locking down Influenza G right now. They are giving an inch. Well, technically they've given 42 meters, but that is basically nothing here. This right-hand position defense, shutting them down right now. Crib on this Winter Soldier, looking to try and get an isolation, not finding anything yet. Both teams now have Groot, trying to push on in, infinite ammo of their own, relying on this Winter Soldier. Crack and impact off of the Groot for the first pickup here. Point blank indoors, but there's just too much damage. Prime holds, will finally fall, returns at the BRB. Down goes Rocket, but it's enough to bring him back. But now Prime is all alone as the rest of the team gets wiped. And finally, Influenza G break containment. That burned most of their time to even get it this far, meaning XO, they need to do one more team wipe in order to turn this round, in order to take this from behind. They wrap on in. Final judgment to try and melt through. Doing huge damage, taking out group walls. Cutting off reinforcements if they get any eliminations, but getting eliminations is going to be the priority here. They have abandoned rockets, and they're just running this in Punisher as normal. Straggling prison for the setup. Ayamagamoto for the lockdown on the counter, but numbers currently heavily in favor of Influenza G as into the sky goes 6 with that goddess of death. Here comes Spurs trying to take down Rib, but they are dropped here. Skittles wipes them off the board, and Influenza G are going to keep on pushing here. They have 5 seconds left, but they are all here for the overtime. Spurs bringing out Spider-Man here. They're going to try and contest this before it hits the point. Invisible boundary going to be sent out. Spurs on the Spidey, trying to take out Rib, which they do. Removing the main damage dealer, trusting their team to stay on the point. They're just going to try and take out the backline dealers. 6 gets the 1v1 to take them down. Ayamagamoto from Titty Valkyrie to hold the line, but they're losing members very fast here. Flicky Minaj is down. Rib is down. They're trying to make their way back into the point. Titty Valkyrie going down, straggling prison to lock down the rest of the team. Who's on the point? Who can touch? Skittles tries to make it in, but is walled off. And that's going to be a hold by XOXO01 at 0 points, 125 meters, 52 centimeters. As we begin to swap sides, a potential push that could be executed here. XO, they can get essentially 2.1, then they are going to be at match point and 1 game away from that lower bracket semi-final here, where they'll be able to try and fight their way in. These two teams right now, lower bracket quarterfinals, lower bracket semi-finals, lower bracket finals, and then grand finals. Not that many series between here and that potential first place. But they've got to fight for it. And Influenza G, they need to turn this round. They're sticking with Rib on that Winter Soldier. No rocket. Just going to be running it in. They've got a Loki of their own for that extra regeneration domain. Spurs is starting on the Wolverine here. And Silence was thinking about the Hulk for a moment, but is going to stick with Groot.
4, 3, 2, 1.
That is interesting. They might have got that transformation to get the sound cue for Influenza G, so Influenza G might believe they have the Hulk, and then may in fact be surprised by the Groot. Playing a little bit of mind games. Spurs on that Wolverine, trying to circle around, looking for a victim that they can isolate, pick up, and bring in for their team. Instead, they're just going to dash over to their team's side. And there it is, with the rocket boost, sending them far into the backline. That was textbook. Titty Valkyrie and Flicky Minaj are both annihilated on this defense. A textbook assault with Wolverine. And Influenza G's defense collapses. Like an unstable Groot Jenga tower, they push on in. Making their way forward. Zetha, Portal, so that they have a flank. They can attack from both angles here. Making their way forward. Flicky Minaj has brought back the cap so that they can reach the point in time and try and contest. They're dancing on and off, trying to just be mobile, trying to be irritating. Onto the backline, looks for Rib, finds the Wolverine who picks them off again, but Prime was taken down in that fight. Here comes the invisible boundary. Skittles can match in time and will do so because they need to make sure that there are bodies on the board to keep this contested. Final stand for Rib. Skittles takes down Behemoth, shutting down the invisible boundary of XO, and it looks like Influenza G may be able to turn this round. Rib is turning this with their own Wolverine, surprising Spurs. There's a clone. Rez Ultimate expires for Rikake. Invisible boundary of their own. They're trying to hold this final stand. This time from Spurs. I am Agamotto, and Rib is melted here. Flicky Minaj gets Kraken impacted, but they're tagging through. Prime will be the one to fall straggling prison to try and break on through. Gets 3, but they tag on through with that regeneration domain. Flicky Minaj is giving everything they can right now. Takes out Silence. It's all or nothing. Assemble is at the ready to hold them to give them that extra bit of tankiness. The card is pushed backwards, and Influenza G are holding, but ever so barely. Silence has finally committed to the Hulk. And we're going to see Spurs bring out the magic. They're going to try and break this line. Melee, dive, and burst. They've got 1 minute and 20 left. Spurs diving on in. Flicky Minaj still holding on to this assemble. Shield bounce. A lot of damage output here. 6 taken down. Rib also annihilated. Already with 2 members down. Flicky has to ult here to try and buy time. With that extra shielding, they're holding the line. Invisible boundary going to be coming out from Rez and Skittles to try and match. The Eye of Agamotto came down, but no one is getting picked off here. More members are reforming in. Rib swaps to Starlord so they can reach the point in time. Flicky is having to do so much work right now to hold the line along with Tinny. Tinny is getting focused down here. Dropped low. They have to keep expelling the magic to make sure that they are healed. They're sustained up here, and they've driven back XO again. Flicky Minaj runs down Silence, and this is a valiant defense. With 20 seconds left, Zetha does not have Portal. They have 8 seconds, but they do have Feet. Rez has brought in the rocket, giving them the BRB so that they can get 1 revive onto the points they can try and contest this. Darkchild at the ready, Eye of Agamotto at the ready, and they have that Kraken impact if needed. In comes Darkchild into the backline immediately for Rikake, going to be dropping that invisible boundary to make sure that they can try and contest. BRB brings back Spurs, who got wiped even through Darkchild here to try and contest. Galactic Legend at the ready. Eye of Agamotto finds nothing. Overtime ticking in. Here comes Galactic Legend, shut down completely as 6 is dropping into that Goddess of Death, takes down 1. Trying to set up for the defense, looks for anyone here. Darkchild's in the backline. Kraken impact takes down 6, takes down Flicky, and they're getting it. They're pushing on through, and XOXO wipe the defense on the last attempt. A final Kraken impact to seal the deal, and XOXO in overtime will take game number 2. XOXO01 are now 1 win away from moving on to that lower bracket semi-final. The pressure is mounting for Influenza G. They have to find a way to turn this round, or their tournament journey is over. Some of the few ANZ players left. We're having a look at some of these statistics. MVP for Prime here. 23 eliminations, tied up with 6. 14 final hits, though, for Prime. That's 4 more than 6, outperforming their top damage. 17k 7 versus 17k 1, beating them out by 600 damage. Close between the two. 6 did get taken out less, though. It only took that 1 break for XO to push on through. Least amount of times getting eliminated. Furikake. Playing Rocket, playing Loki. Just so hard to eliminate. Only going down once that entire game. Incredible performance. Top damage blocked. Going to be the 36k of Tinny Valkyrie, giving everything they could there. Flicky Minaj, the last second Captain America choice. It's so sticky, it's so hard to take down, but Kraken Impact just a little too strong. And top healing. It's essentially a 2-way tie, but we will see Skittles OCE getting 800 more healing than Furikake. they will claim the most healing output. Both of them about 1,000 more than Rez. What an intense series between these two. It's still close despite the score, but XOXO do have the lead and are now on match point. If they can claim victory, they will move on to the lower bracket semi-final. But can we see Influenza G set themselves up for a reverse sweep in this best of 5? Find out after this break. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, turn off your ad block, or watch with YouTube Premium, or just become a member. Join the crew and help support me making these videos. Let's head into a break, and we'll be back with map number 3.
Which has determined your fate. I've never seen so clear. I feel the end and it's near. The day of reckoning's here. The sound of deafening fear. My energy is next level, so damn you better be careful. I got an angel and devil, he snaps me straight in the temple. I'm ready to be a rebel, I've got a lot of potential hidden inside of this vessel. That shit is so exponential. I need a first class ticket to the top, no limit. I don't play no gimmicks, I'ma take you to the clinic. If you want a taste, come at me and you will be replaced. They won't find a trace of you anywhere or any place. Never stop, I'll get it if I want it. Gotta make to myself a promise. I won't quit, keep going till I got it. I won't give up till I'm on top. Yo, no, I ain't the type to give up. If I do something, man, I do it till I get what I want. I turn a business out of nothing into something I love. I got a poker face, but honestly, I'm not one to bluff. I flip a switch, never miss, man, I always stay up. Don't let them see you, bitch, always have a plan to stay tough. This life ahead of you ain't easy, it was built to be rough. But that's what makes a personality is tragedy, bruh. So keep your head on your shoulders. Now we ain't out here moving rocks, we out here moving boulders. Now we ain't getting posterized, we out here making posters. And we ain't got nothing to hide, we move forward like soldiers. You better wake up for the pay stub or you'll pay up. Don't make love to the game, bruh, fuck the game up. Change up, rearrange stuff to your greatness. Famous for the way up, play the game, bruh. Never stop, I'll get it if I want it.
And we are back with map number 3. Sorry for the slightly longer than normal break. I needed a quick refreshment. We are heading into Hall of Djalia. XOXO01, 1 win away from going on to that lower bracket semi-final. Influenza G, they need the reverse sweep. They once again are going to ban out that Magneto, taken away from Silence. And the thing, countered by XO. What are we going to see for the protections? So quite a few surprise pickups that time. Venom will be protected this time. Very interesting. Zetha maybe looking to mix it up a bit. And a Warlock so far being allowed through once again by Influenza G. What is their protection? I think Loki would be a good choice here, and that is what they're going to go for. They've got great protection with that regeneration domain. They've got the clones of some ultimates. They've been able to protect their front line pretty effectively with this. It's working well. No complaints. Loki's a solid pickup here. Now, what's worth banning? Adam? Winter Soldier? Spider-Man! Spurs earns a ban on a character they played for less than 30 seconds. And there goes the Lunar Snow, trying to sort of pseudo-nerf Namor. just in case it is snuck on in. Very good awareness by XO. Not letting that make their way through. But Star-Lord compositions, on if not just the Adam Warlock plus Mantis, are already available. Flicky Minaj looking at that Venom, as is Zetha with Silence and Tinny Valkyrie. Going on to the strangers, these compositions looking pretty similar so far. But it's in the final pickups. Fanta Venom makes a return. Do we have the emote? No emote. Zetha not giving the fans what they want.
Coming in 30 seconds. Stay strong.
What about Flicky? Flicky has time. Give the fans what they want? No.
One sorcerer to another. What's the
One day we will get what we demand as fans. But until then, we must wait. Looking at these compositions,
Starts in 5, 4,
we're seeing the Rocket on the defense to give, this time, spurs on the Winter Soldier. That infinite ammo and Prime, bringing out the Hella. Tinny Valkyrie already looking for a hook here. Comp almost identical, except we see Loki instead of Rocket. Their way into the point. In the meantime, there is a distraction happening here. Flicky Minaj is trying to cause a delay and a distraction here onto the backline, trying to focus Prime. Pushed back, though, with the force push of the Invisible Woman. Focus down. Symbiotic Resilience will grab the map heal. In the meantime, the battle through the doorway. They're trying to get onto the point. 6 also on the flank. They've got a beautiful flank angle here as Rib picks up a double. Taking out 2, looking for a third, finds it, and absolutely pogging out of their mind here. Influenza G. Absolutely beautiful flank. Concave at every angle. Venom from the front. A 4-man gang from behind. And a flank from the Hella off to the side. That was executed to perfection. And Influenza G to claim point number 1.
You need to stop that vehicle.
Fantastic work. Making their way in. A little bit of poke here and there onto Silence. A little bit of damage, a little bit of poke, trying to get the damage amper there onto Flicky Minaj, who's playing quite far forward. Sia comes in from Rez, setting up for the Kraken impact. Reset number 1 to take out Flicky, chasing down Tinny, and that's going to be the wipe of the defense, blocked by the banners. Imagine dropping an ability called Kraken Impact and being defeated by Cloth. Feels bad, man. Influenza G, Rib, has their own Kraken Impact now to try and keep this push going. Influenza G, they need this. If they lose, they're out. They do not get to continue their journey in Season 1 if they get eliminated here. They would have to wait until Season 2. So they need as many points as possible to try and maximize their chance of taking this round so they can stay in this beautiful bionic hook. They are snowballing, though, getting step by step onto Silence, chasing them down. Silence is barely standing. They just refuse to get eliminated here. Bionic hook blind onto the Venom, trying to take down Zetha, utilizing that Guardian barrier to sustain on through. But in the meantime, Prime is taken to the air, being blocked out here by Tinny Valkyrie. The invisible boundary, another double pickup by Influenza G as they keep creeping forward. Silence finally falls. Another bionic hook onto Zetha. Soldier's Fist, lock him down, and Influenza G. Like a completely different team this game, just snowballing through everything that XO throw at them. We did not really see this in game number 2. Game 1, we absolutely saw that potential for how good Influenza G can be. They seem to lose a little bit of step in game number 2, but they're bringing it back here in game number 3. Flicky Minaj facing the Abyss, not enough to finish anyone off. Silence is once again dropping down the Seer. Not enough to finish anyone off for the moment. Flicky Minaj dropping low, forced to swing away. Kraken impact comes on in. Not enough for a reset. It's going to be the counter from Rib to bring it back. Titty Valkyrie goes down, and that Ayavagamoto will be enough for XO to shut down this push at this stage and force a reset. Zifa was looking to see if there was anyone on the retreat, but Influenza G have all almost entirely been cleaned out. Will regroup and make their way in together. Portal is at the ready for Titty Valkyrie, but they're probably going to hold on to that. Prime down on the low ground. Titty Valkyrie continuing to siege on in. Behemoth. To try and hold the line. Skittles took out Prime off to the side here. Rib has brought out the Psylocke to try and turn this game around. They were doing pretty well with the Winter Soldier. Is this a mistake? Into the backline, following up onto the full engage, pushback, Behemoth with the invisible boundary to try and allow XO to create a hold here. Furikake will fall here, counter invisible boundary to allow the remaining members of Influenza G to hold the line as they push on through, finally taking out Silence, allowing that car to try and move forward as soon as they can get rid of Zetha. Kraken impact for Spurs to try and burst on through, no reset, no targets even, Bionic Hook to try and take out Flicky. Good damage, will finish the job, but Rib with the darts and the butterflies coming on in, but that is a great regeneration domain. Bionic Hook focused down, forcing them to retreat, and 6 will take to the sky. Trading Goddess of Death shots. 6 falls down. Prime shortly following them. Silence playing quite far up. Both strangers have that Eye of Agamotto. Titty, slow rotation up to the high ground, trying to apply a little bit of pressure onto Zetha, who dives on in. Making their way forward. Silence just going to be holding the cart right now. They can see Titty Valkyrie on the flags. They look to try and make their way in, pushing forward. They're trying to bait out those defensive abilities by playing far up here. 6 will fall though. Zetha on the backline. There's that Eye of Agamotto. Regeneration domain, but Behemoth is outside of it, but it's still too tanky. There's going to be there's going to be the invisible boundary. Silence now into the backline. They are able to get Skittles though, shutting down the counter healing. Flicky Minaj will fall. 2 members down. Influenza G are in trouble. Titty Valkyrie, they have Portal, but they're the one on the point. They can't portal the team in if they're busy fighting. They've taken out Behemoth and Rez, though, trying to keep the team up that way. Furikake hitting the team. Kraken impact for 0x0. Trying to hold the line. Feast from the Abyss. Taking out 1. Rib falls. And Zetha cleans out the attackers and puts a stop to that push. XOXO01 holding it at 1.6 meters. Influenza G, is that enough?
You'll need a top-notch team to win this one.
Are we going to see any compositional swaps? Looks like maybe Spurs, considering the Star-Lord and the Magic. Adam Warlock, we talked about it, did make it through. Phantom Venom always brings me joy. It's a wonderful skin. Looks like we're going to be sticking with mostly the same stuff. Everyone bringing in the same pickups here, except for Spurs, who will once again be bringing back the Magic. Never mind, Winter Soldier. Lots of options here. Defense up to the high ground. Furikake
The battle starts in 5.
also going up to the high ground on this Loki. In fact, it's going to be a whole high ground squad up here.
All you need to do is capture the mission area. Got it?
Taking out some of the terrain. Setting up for the defense. Are we seeing the portal from Silence? Yes, we are.
A shortcut through space.
Going to take them on to the point exactly where Influenza G chose to engage from, but they are coming in mostly as a group with only Zephyr off to the sky, off to the side. Making their way onto the point. Silence. Frontlining hard. They're committing to this aggressively. Zephyr trying to put some pressure onto Flicky, entering a duel of their own. 6 off to the side, where they were flanking from last time. This time using it for defensive purposes. In the meantime, though, the point is channeling up as their team appears to have been cleaned out. 6 dropped low. Grabs the map heal. Will make it out of here. Testing the point. Zephyr cleaned out. Flicky Minaj and Tinny Valkyrie have been able to drive back the remaining members of XOXO. With Prime taken out, first defense. Influenza G holding them back. 2 minutes and 50 seconds. And every second that ticks down is like a piece of straw off of the camel's back that is Influenza G. They have been crushed under the weight of time in all of these previous matches. And now they are starting to feel, bit by bit, the soothing relief of the clock ticking down on XOXO01. Will they finish it? Here comes the dive. Zephyr playing very far forward, takes out 6. Skittles OCE falls. Uh-oh. Well, we're going over here. Spurs is going to be taken down by Tinny Valkyrie. And Rib with Kraken Impact caught on the ceiling, but they have a reset available. No, it's going to expire just before they can finish off another Loki, and also they do survive through. Rez will fall. Influenza G, they're landing pickups, taking down the Loki clones. In the meantime, the cap is happening. Trying to get onto Prime, who takes to the sky as this Hela drops down quickly by Rib. Invisible boundary from OCE and Behemoth. Trying to hold the line. Zephyr makes their way back in onto the point, trying to take out that Winter Soldier, trying to take out Bucky. Regeneration Domain going to shut it down, but a great regen. Retreating to their own regeneration domain to try and hold this through. Furikake with the second invisible boundary, trying to stay up in this fight. Rez matching in turn. Aya Wakamoto starting out. No one here. Flicky Minaj trying to hold the point. They've grabbed point number 1. And we are on to distance. Silence leading the charge. 106. Is what XOXO01 have to beat as they creep forward step by step. And Spurs, they have brought the magic to try and bring it home. If XOXO can beat this 106 meters, then they are going on to that lower bracket semi-finals. Influenza G, they have to give everything to this defense, everything they can. Furikake will fall as Spurs on this magic is deep in the backline. They will go down, but they got a triple there, meaning Influenza G are falling 1 by 1, and there's only 36 meters, 26 meters left to push. They have to give everything. They need to go in hard. 90, 100, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's over. They can't even touch. And XOXO01 claim the round and the series in a convincing matchup here. What was so close at times, and then you get moments like this. We saw moments where Influenza G looked like they were on the same level. Then you get moments like that where XOXO01 just snowballed through so quickly. It's like there was just nothing that Influenza G could do. Just getting broken down, torn apart, and put back together. Incredible work from XOXO01. They make their way on to that lower bracket semi-finals, where they will be playing against either Lobelia or Legit L, as that is our other lower bracket quarter final. That will be tomorrow's game, so make sure you tune into that. After that, we will have our upper bracket final, which is going to be New Moon versus Sponsor Please, the former Gen G Academy. Before we will make our way into that lower bracket final, before finally heading into the grand final, and then we'll be heading to North America for our next set of games. So make sure you subscribe, like the video, ring that bell so you can see those games when they go live. I'm so excited for our first international LAN. I don't know when it's going to be, but I want it so freaking bad. Oh my god, I want to see how these teams compare. We will have to see. For now, though, looking at the statistics, most eliminations gonna go over to Rib. 21 eliminations, 11 final hits. They do top it out. They get the most damage as well, 18k. They did everything they could. You cannot look at Influenza G and say that they did not try everything. They did not try their hardest because they put everything on the line there. Least amount of times getting eliminated, Behemoth only getting taken out 3 times. Most damage blocked, 31k. Tinny Valkyrie trying to hold it together for their team, beating out Silence by 2k only. And finally, top healing, 500 in it. Skittles OCE will also get the top healing. They literally topped almost every single stat, but they did get taken out a few more times. And that's not enough. Influenza G, they will fall. They will be forced to try again in Season 1. Wait, Season 2. We're in Season 1 right now. They will be forced to try again. But until then, they can go away and they can practice. XOXO, they will be moving on to that lower bracket semi-final, and we will find out who plays against them tomorrow. Reminder to like, comment, subscribe, become a member like our wonderful members who help support the channel. Roshua, Pokidoki, and of course, the wonderful Josh, our longest time member. I hope you've all been enjoying. Follow me on the socials that are in the description. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you all tomorrow.